Good morning, brothers and sisters. We are gathered here today for a very special purpose, as you know, and you will learn more about that in just a moment. But let us receive this morning now the mayor of the city of New York, our brother, our friend, the mayor of this great... Please forgive me. Please forgive me. That tells you I never leave the five boroughs. But I'm happy to be in Newark today, in this great city. We've longed for this for quite some time. Our friend, our brother, a son of Newark, Mayor Ras Baraka. Let's bring him on with a round of applause.
I guess I gotta get up. That's all right, brother. You get in trouble in Newark with that, man. You know? Just gotta be careful. So first, I just want to thank everybody for being here this incredibly historic and auspicious occasion. I want to obviously thank my colleague, my brother, my friend, Mayor Lumumba, for making his way here from Mississippi, Jackson, and being here with us as well. Comes from a strong line of community activists and revolutionaries, and I think it's fitting that both of us sit as co-hosts of a conference such as this. And we obviously have to thank Dr. Bloom and Angela Garrison and NJIT at our family here. You know, Dr. Bloom has been a partner of mine since I was a principal at Central High School across the street before they turned our school into this beautiful building. You know, I used to put pressure on him, but he always responded, you know, in kind. And I appreciate his willingness to always partner with us in the city and partner with our community to do things that benefit our families. And this is enormous, because NJIT didn't have to step up to the plate and say, have it at our place. So we appreciate that, and I want you to know that. Thank you. And thank you to Angela, too, wherever she is, as well. Also want to thank Ed Riley. I don't know where he's at. He's somewhere around here. There he is. Really, I mean, Ed Riley has been the backbone of this, making sure that it didn't fall to the ground, that, you know, we get busy, I get busy, the mayor gets busy, all kinds of stuff going on. We need somebody to make sure that this thing continues to happen, and Ed Riley has been that. I appreciate you. If I haven't told you, I want you to know that. I definitely appreciate you. And then everybody else that's been involved, obviously Reverend Conrad, who's here with us, Brother Bashir, Rakia, Lumumba, I don't know, is Rakia here? Rakia, who is the sister of our mayor, but also is our comrade and has been working tirelessly to help us expand this and get this thing to happen the way it should happen. I want to thank our policy team from the city of Newark, Shoshana, Kalisha, the whole crew over there as well. And Ricardo Balazar and from Newark Happening and all of the folks. There you go. Thank you for being a part of this. This is going to be beautiful. We're going to have all kinds of people from all over the country, possibly the world, coming into the city of Newark. And I know you guys are going to help us make sure that they have a comfortable and great and exciting time here in the city of Newark. And while y'all out this week, go check out the Winter Village and get some ice skating in across the street there. I see Councilwoman McGyver here and, as well. So thank you for being involved, and the superintendent of schools, Roger Leone, all the way down there as well. So that's great, because this is a historical moment and our kids have to be involved in it. So it's a great opportunity for all of us in the city. So just to say a little bit about what's happening. Oh, I didn't thank James Ntume. He wanted to be here today. He could not, his health would not allow him to be here, but he's here. He's here. He's here. His presence, his commitment, his fire, his fight to make this happen is here with us. You know, he just got me to get on stage with the Last Poets the other day. I don't know, you know. So Mtume, you know, I appreciate the brother for that. So in spring of 2022, the 50th anniversary of the National Black Political Convention will convene in the city of Newark, and it will be co-hosted by myself, Mayor Baraka, and Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, and musical legend James Mtume. This gathering will not only reflect on NBPC that took place in 1972, that if people don't know about it, they should, and if they don't, it's our fault, but will be a critical space for our movement forward as a people to create a new Black agenda that reflects our current priorities and goals. And I think now it's timely, more than it's ever been in this country, to have real discussion about some of the issues that we have been grappling with back and forth, and real debate, because some of these issues need to be debated internally. They need to be debated in our community. They need to be debated with our allies, with our folks. We need to have these debates, and we need to put them out forward and say this is what we want, what we need for our neighborhoods, for our communities, for our families, as we talk about Build Back Better, as we talk about the infrastructure bills, as we talk about stimulus checks, as we talk about coming out of coronavirus and all these other things and all the gaps and the inequities that have been unearthed at this specific time. It's important for us to not just say what we don't want, we have to say what we do want. And that's what this conference is about, because we can mobilize around all of the things that are happening negative and bad and oppressive to us, but we have had a difficult time putting together and organizing a forward-thinking agenda. This is what we need now, opposed to the things that are happening to us in the present sense. So this conference will, you know, humbly try to, you know, launch that and bring people from all over the country together to have a discussion about what we want to do and create here in this country, because but whether people believe it, understand it, feel like it or not, we are also a part of this country. And it is very much ours, just as it is anybody else's. And when Paul Robeson was in the House of Un-American Activities before Congress, and they were questioning him, and somebody told him, well, why don't you go back to your own country? He said, this is my country. My father was a sharecropper, and his father was a slave. So I have more, and I'm not going to let any fascist-minded people, that's what he said, run me out of it. So if you didn't want us here, you should never brought us here. Absolutely. Right, so now that we are here, right, we ought to partake in everything else everybody else is partaking in, and we have the right to even make it better. So that's welcome, and hopefully I know we're gonna have a great discussion today to talk to you about what actually the convention is gonna you know, unfold and become, and I'm excited about it. So, you know, hopefully, you know, my father, you know, is you know, very, very happy that we are doing a 1972 convention here in the city of Newark in 2022. It took place in Gary, Indiana, under Richard Hatcher. Now it'll take place in Newark here with Mayor Lumumba and Mayor Baraka, and I think it's like awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. The mayor's going to close us out as well. Let's hear now from this great president. We have been meeting with the team here, and they have been outstanding. As the mayor said, they've reached out, opened their arms to this community. Dr. Joel Bloom is here. Let's hear from him now.
So the best thing about speaking not only to this group is you can take your mask off and you get to see the other half of people's faces these days, but we do need to stay masked. First of all, welcome, Mr. Mayor from Jackson, Mississippi. It's always difficult following, even being in the presence at times of Mayor Ras Baraka, our outstanding mayor of the city of Newark. As Ras has exposed us back decades ago, and every time I am in his presence, there's always a new challenge. So one of the challenges we're working on today is to double the enrollment of Newark students at this university. This is a university that prepares young men and women to continue to improve the quality of life of all people across this country. When you talk about architects and engineers and scientists, not only are they improving their own life, and when particularly we partnered with Superintendent Leon, and we were talking about some of the students that are here today that wouldn't be here without the mayor's insistence that we double the enrollment. 3 years into a 4-year program, we're at 75% of doubling that enrollment, Mr. Mayor. Always happy to report that. The young men and women, there are 9 in particular of the 30 or 40 that are now enrolling every semester here, starting to enroll every semester, that are scholars. They are Mayor Ras Baraka scholars. These young men and women, I think we're up to, I think it's 5 African-American males and 4 African-American women. They can go anywhere in the country based on what they've learned and how well they've achieved in the Newark Public Schools. They can go anywhere in the country because of the mayor speaks to them, Superintendent Leon speaks to them, we speak to them. We have them here every summer, just getting ready for those simple calculus classes, physics classes, chemistry classes, just to get them ready. I think I looked a couple weeks ago of the 9, and you have no idea how tough this curriculum is until you're in the middle of it. Of the 9, 5 of them are at 4.0s. Could you imagine? So that's what's going on in the Newark Public Schools. That's what the mayor consistently challenges us to do as an anchor institution here in the city. We do hire, we do buy locally. We are living here locally. We are committed to this city. I grew up in one of those boroughs. This is not a borough of New York City. This is comparable, maybe even get a little bigger than New York City. But I grew up in one of those boroughs, and I saw what intention and commitment can do. And you look at the borough I grew up in, if you can't tell from Brooklyn, New York, and where it is today, and how intention and commitment and partnerships, higher education, museums, cultural institutions make a difference. This is a city with 55,000 college students, staff, and faculty. Newark is a college town. We need to advocate, along with Councilman McIver, about the city of Newark is the home of some of the best institutions of higher education. We have a medical school, we have an engineering school, we have one of the top liberal arts universities right across the street from here in Rutgers, Newark. So this is who the city is. And with the mayor continuing to challenge us, we are very proud to be here. I also need to leave you with the following. We are one of the most diverse public polytechs in the country. Students leave here with 3 and 4 job offers. Students leave here with 6-figure job offers, 6 figures. And I will never forget a quote from a young man from the city of Newark when I saw him and congratulated him at graduation one year. I said, so now that you're going to work at Exxon Chemical Company in Houston, Texas, what are you going to do with all of that salary? And he said, I'm going to buy my mother a home here in the city of Newark. It says so much about who our students are, the young men and women that grow up in the city, and the importance of this city to these young men and women. So we thank you all. This is an amazing day at NJIT. When my colleague Angela Garrison said, can we host it? I said, sure, you just have to figure it all out. And she always does. She always figures it all out. So we welcome you. This is a very esteemed group. I know some of you for about 110 years. Good to see you all again. Have a great day here. And always, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Mayor, thank you much. You take care all.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, your staff has just been outstanding. Brothers and sisters, we are joined by a number of dignitaries today. Sister Deborah Smith-Gregory, the NAACP Newark chapter. We are joined by Brother Larry Hand, chairman of the People's Organization for Progress, And Larry Ham, and you'll find out more about this announcement today, was the youngest delegate in the 1972 convention in Gary, Indiana. So we have history present with us today. We're also joined, and I'll be announcing people intermittently, Sister Frederica Bay. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you this morning. Now, brothers and sisters, we are a people of prayer and faith. And as we embark upon this effort, it's not been easy thus far, and it will not be easy going forward. And so let us invoke and invite the presence of God. We are multi-religious people. We have many different faith traditions, but we all recognize the oneness of God. So let's call forth now the great pastor. First, we're going to call up Reverend Louise Scott Roundtree. She's going to lead us in a Christian prayer. And then we're going to call Brother Imam Hassan Sharif. And then, of course, because we are a traditional people, we're going to bring Brother Zaid Muhammad to pour a libation for our ancestors. So we're going to cover all the bases. Let's go. Amen. Come on.
Good morning, everyone. That wasn't everyone. Good morning, everybody. As all roads lead to Newark, it is an honor and a privilege for me to stand here today, knowing that in 1972, I wasn't old enough. I was around, but I wasn't old enough. I was a little shorter, but I wasn't old enough to experience the greatness of Emmanuel and Mary Baraka, to witness what I'm witnessing today. I thank God for our mayor. Thank you, Mayor Lumumba, and to the man of God who's leading the charge, and Bashir, Ed Riley, oh God, let me stop calling names, Brother Junius Williams and Larry Ham, and Mother Frederica Bay, because they have all, Councilwoman McIver, been a part of my journey as I am going forth in prayer over this event, and I'm excited. I'm excited about what God is getting ready to do in May of 2022. So as I invoke God's presence in this place today, I ask God, who is the source of all that is good and the source of all of our blessings. And because of all that God is, we want to thank God for our blessings. Blessings are one thing which is blessing us with today. As we invoke God's presence in this place, we want to thank you for family, friends, officials, and community, and guests who have the opportunity to come together and gather for another great historical moment here in our beautiful city of Newark. As our progressive mayor, Ras Baraka, Mayor Lumumba, and our musical legend, James M. Tume, have come together to create a new Black agenda that will reflect our current priorities and goals. We will not forget, as we move forward, that in March of 1972, there was a man named Amiri Baraka Sr., along with Representative Charles Diggs and Mayor Richard Hatchett, who organized the first gathering known as the National Black Political Convention. As we come together to pray over the new thing that God is preparing for us for May of 2022, we ask that God will prepare our minds, our hearts, and our spirit as we come together in preparation to position ourselves for the progress we're going to make as we move forward. And we look forward to the 50th anniversary celebration of the National Black Convention to be held here in the city of Newark. Now we pray for all who's gathered here, that God will continue to be in us to strengthen us, because as Fannie Lou Hamer has said, that we are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we've been sick and tired a very long time. So as we move forward, we ask that God continue to be beneath us to support us, that God will continue to go before us to guide us, because sometimes we will go astray. That God will continue to keep angels encamped over us as our ancestors are watching over us as we make this progress. We will be careful not to take credit for what God has done, but to say to God be the glory, because some good things are going to come out of this. Now we say this and we pray this in the name of some who call you Jesus, some call you Allah, some call you Yahweh, some call you Jehovah, some call you Elohim, but you're our God and our Creator. Amen. 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 And Ashe. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Good morning to all.
Good morning.
I greet you all in the salutations of peace in the Arabic language that translates, may God's peace, mercy, and blessing be upon all of you, extending to your families and your friends. Assalamu alaikum. It's definitely a humbling experience for me to be here. I'm here because I stand upon the shoulders of these great men here and women, and I thank God for this opportunity. So with that, let us pray. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, all praises are due to Allah, Lord, cherisher, and sustainer of all the worlds and systems of knowledge, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. It is you we worship, and it is you we seek for help and guidance. Show us on the straight way, the path of those on whom you bestow upon your grace, whose portion is not wrath, and who goes not astray. O Allah, we thank you for your never-ending mercy. We thank you for our sound minds and hearts. O Allah, we thank you for allowing us to wake up this morning and be in the presence of others. We ask you to protect everyone and guide us and their families. Let us work together earnestly and pray for your mercy and forgiveness and your protection. We ask to mend our hearts and strengthen our path of righteousness. We ask you to remove our insecurities and our flaws. We ask you to strengthen our hearts, our tenacity, and preach your and teach your blessings. We thank you for blessing us with our mayor, Honorable Mayor J. Ras Baraka. We ask you to continue to enlighten him mentally, strengthen him physically, and protect him and his family. We also like to thank those who surround him, our councilmen and women, and those who are here with us together to strengthen our city so we can be the catalyst around the world today. We thank the mayor for handling the situation of this pandemic. We thank him for his tenacity, and we ask you to strengthen him going forward. We'd like to thank Reverend Roundtree for what she's done and what she's doing, bringing this religious faith together, and we're being a catalyst for this world today. Allahu Akbar. We ask you to mend our hearts, strengthen our capacity to speak your words. We ask you to strengthen our human family. God, we ask you to place your powerful hands on our heart and strengthen our faith, strengthen our words of comfort. God, we ask you to feed those mentally who are able to feed themselves. We ask you to guide them with your mercy. Pray for those on the front line of still this pandemic that we endure. God, we ask you to remove this pandemic. We ask you to heal those who are inflicted with this disease. We ask you to give them the ultimate healing that leaves no illness. And we pray to those whom pass on, we ask you to forgive them their sins and grant them the gates of heaven. In desperate times, you have the solution. Remove from us what we have. God, with every difficulty, there is relief. With every difficulty, there is relief. Liven our hearts with your remembrance and make us firm in your obedience. Oh God, give us devoutness. It is your best payments. Give us humility. It's the best attribute. Give us benevolence. It's the most beautiful of deeds. We are responsible, God. Your command is your command. Your creation is your creation. Your divine is your divine. There's no power or might for us except yours. Oh God, lift this horrible situation which cover us. Lift this calamity and pandemic. Oh God, as it came about, your leave and your knowledge, oh God, lift it by your mercy. Oh God, acknowledge our need of your assistance. Make our hearts elated and do not stress us during this disease. Do not extend the survey difficulties on us. Please accept this from us. God bless the city of Newark, the state of New Jersey, the United States of America. And with that, I say, Ameen.
Everyone here okay? I may come off of this mic. And those of y'all who know how I do this, there ain't no mics involved because we do this on the street. This is how we get down, right? Standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, I want to acknowledge all of our leadership in this room, the long-distance runners, the elders, two who were there in '72, and two who have been running since 72, right? Right? Whose immediate shoulders we stand on. This incredible generation behind me that is to my left on this panel. I'm so proud of these young men. So proud of these young men. And I know that their fathers in the land of the ancestors are very proud of how they are upholding the tradition and trying to take it to the next stage and the next space, as we should all be, right? And let's do our part to make sure a whole lot of our kids are in these spaces and coming out of these spaces representing this town. Y'all are the future. And you know what? Y'all got this. In Ifa, the tradition of our ancestors, there's an orisha called Eshu, all right? And Eshu sometimes is associated with the crossroads. And it is so important that this historical moment sees us trying to come back together in the name of the United Front at a time when this country is at the crossroads for what kind of future we're going to have. And there are some real forces in this country that want to take some of you to a space that you have never seen and probably cannot manage, but some of us can remember how backwards this space was once upon a time. And we, in the name and on the shoulders of our ancestors, we ain't going back there. Right. Kwame Ture taught us at the crossroads, which way to go? You go forward. Right. So this is in that spirit then, we will acknowledge some of our ancestors. Right. And here's where I get my big mouth off the mic.
All right.
Mic check, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. Just stay with him, brother. Okay, just hold it for him. Okay. Yeah, hold it for him. All right.
Okay. I'm a warrior priest, y'all, so that's how I get down. All right, for the four directions, the north, the south, the east, the west, Ibaye, 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 ancestors.
Yeah.
You heard the mayor talk about Paul Robeson, straight out of Princeton, New Jersey. Once upon a time, the tallest tree in the forest. 25 languages, 8 African languages, feared no man. Beacon of dignity whose shoulders we proudly stand on. Paul Robeson, we say, Ibaye, Ibaye, Ibaye. Malcolm and Martin would have been so proud of 72. COINTELPRO took them from us. They couldn't be at 72. But Coretta was at 72. Right. Betty Bahia Shabazz was at 72. For Martin and Coretta, for Malcolm and Betty Bahia, we say, Ibaye, Ibaye, Ibaye. And I'll wind with 2 ancestors who meant a whole lot to me and to all of us in this room. Chokwe Antar Lumumba, I haven't seen you since you were a child, and you probably don't even remember that. But your dad is a true pioneer on several important fronts of our struggle. And he was one of my heroes, one of my teachers. For his dad, Chokwe Lumumba, Mayor Chokwe Lumumba, Ibaye, Ibaye, Ibaye. And you ain't going nowhere without an Imamu. All right. As we struggle for this whole question of unity, and that's a hard struggle, y'all. Because some of y'all some hard-headed, ego-tripping folks. And it's hard for us to stay together sometimes. And that showed up in Gary. But somebody called us back together. Oh, yeah. Somebody said it's unity without uniformity. Somebody said, we can do this. Mm-hmm. And that was the Imamu. He didn't just do it in Gary. We're in Newark, New Jersey. Yes. And on Malcolm's shoulders, he showed us in this town, in our lifetime, what black power looks like, what organizing looks like, what self-determination looks like. We can do this. So to all my sons and daughters, my grandsons and granddaughters in here, y'all beyond Googling, study up and train up and get on these shoulders and take this thing to the next stage for the Imamu. Your dad, you know I love the hell out of him. Imamu Miri Baraka, we say, Ibaye, Ibaye, Ibaye. So we end as we begin. The 4 directions, north, south, east, west. Ibaye, 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 Ibaye. Stay home. It is done.
Right. All right. Yes, sir. Thank you so much to all of our spiritual leaders. Thank you so much, Brother Zaid, taking us down the road of history as we recognize the people of whose shoulders we stand upon. And so we thank God for our ancestors. We also have living legends, and they're here today, and I'll call some of them throughout the program. I'm so happy to see, as the mayor already acknowledged, our superintendent, Roger Leone. We have already acknowledged him, and we're so grateful for him. Dr. Akil Kalfani, the chair of the African Studies Institute, right here at Essex County College. We're also joined today by the legend in Newark, New Jersey, well, several of them coming up, the great Dr. Leonard Jeffries, a son of Newark. Yeah, where's Dr. Jeffries? All right. And then our great Junius Williams, a great legend and historian in Newark. See, you all don't know, we came to Newark for a reason. We'll tell you about that in a minute, but Newark is a global city where the African struggle is concerned. There are giants in this room and in this city, and we're grateful to be here. We have Sharif Amenhotep of the New Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. The Brick City, yeah, the Black Panthers are present. The Brick City Peace Collective, Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. Yes, let's hear from them. Dawn Haynes, president of the Newark Board of Education. Let's hear for her as well. Brother Myson came in from the Boogie Down Bronx, New York. Mark Thompson is here from New York. Let's give them, brothers, a hand. New York is in the building today. We're grateful today. We have Commissioner John Young from Camden, New Jersey. He's here. We're very grateful that South Jersey is represented. We have Mayor Dwayne Warren from Orange, New Jersey. He's here. Let's give him a great hand. And Dr. Kelly Harris, chair of the Africana Studies Department at Seton Hall University. Minister Abdul Haq. Stand up, Minister. Good to see you this morning. Temple number 25, Newark, New Jersey. All right, brothers and sisters, let's move forward. Well, you see it. The mayor has announced it. It is now official. The National Black Political Convention 2020 here in Newark, New Jersey. The theme is many roads, one destiny, unity without uniformity. That is such a critical point. Ed Riley, where's Ed? Ed Riley is the chair. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Reverend Conrad Tillard. I'm the senior pastor of the Flatbush Tompkins Congregational Church in Brooklyn, and I'm also the host of Conversations with Conrad on 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Ed Riley is a brother beloved, and he and Bashir and Jonathan, they host a great show here in Newark called All Politics is Local. I know you know of that show. It's one of the greatest political shows in the country. #1 hip-hop political show. Brother Zaid, I always enjoy being on with you. But this happened from conversations that Brother Ed and I began to have. And we began to look at the condition of African Americans in terms of our politics. You know, as we move forward as a people, we have to keep a sense of self. Coalition politics are great, but if you don't know who you are, how can you be a part of a coalition? And as we move more toward progressive politics, which is a good thing, but we have to keep a sense of who we are as a people and have a black political agenda. And when we say politics today, many of you are academicians, many of you are activists, clergy. We're not talking about small politics with a small p. We're talking about politics with a large P. We're talking about the political empowerment of black people in this country. And so as we gathered Ed and I began to talk. We began to form a board, and I'm speaking today on behalf of that board. That board includes a dynamic sister out of Jackson, Mississippi. She's the sister of Mayor Lumumba, the daughter of Chokwe Lumumba, Sister Rakia Lumumba. She's a dynamic, powerful sister. She's in Mississippi. She could not be with us today. Brother Basil, down in North Carolina. Bashir Muhammad Akanele. This brother is one of the great educators in the Newark public school system. He's a historian. And as we formed this board, and we took the theme of Mayor Baraka's father, Amiri Baraka, because all of us have been in the struggle for a long time. We've been involved in debates, in arguments, and at the end of the day, as Brother Malcolm said, none of us catch hell because of our ideologies, our religions, our philosophies, what we wear. You can get shot in a Brooks Brothers suit and a dashiki the same way. I doubt very seriously if George Floyd's philosophy was asked before he was murdered. I don't think they knew what Trayvon Martin's position was on issues. And so if we are together, and if we have a common destiny, common story, then we've got to try again what was tried, Dr. Jeffries, in Newark in '72, to see if we can come together and get together and put together a political agenda. We can't agree on everything, and we don't need to agree on everything, but we can agree on the critical issues facing our people. Unity in essentials, diversity in non-essentials. Now, the first thing we did as a board, we wanted to bring this to Newark. We prayed on it, at least I did. And Brother Ed's diplomacy, his relationship with the mayor, we've all known each other for a long time, but Ed has a special relationship. And he talked to the mayor, and the mayor graciously consented to host this great national and global convention in the city of Newark. And I don't know if I know, a prophet is without honor in his own home. And I know you all walk these holy precincts in Newark, so you may not see the significance here. But think about Amiri Baraka, the architect of the '72 convention, who held it together when people were going separate ways with the idea of unity without uniformity, who believed in community organizing, came to Newark, brought those principles to Newark, and now 50 years later, his son sits in the seat of the City Hall in Newark, New Jersey. From Gary to Newark. I'll move quickly. We've always had conferences and conventions. And I tell you, my brothers and sisters, I'm glad that in 1908, the Niagara Conference took place. I'm glad that Gary took place, and a year before that, the Congress of African People, 2 years before, in Atlanta. When we were students, we had 2 national conventions in Philadelphia at University of Pennsylvania and Howard University, where we brought together an expansive group of black leaders, spanning the spectrum. Dr. Jeffries was there. We brought everyone from Kwame Ture to Clarence Pendleton, who was a Reagan judge. We brought everybody together because we're all in this boat together, and we have to figure out how to move forward together. So once we got the mayor of Newark, we wanted none other than Chokwe Lumumba. And he graciously came on board. And so now the city of Newark, New Jersey, the city of Jackson, Mississippi, 2 sons of the movement who did not get their positions by nepotism, but studied the movement, embraced the movement, dedicated their lives to grassroots work in the community, and carried the name of those great families in that city. We are overly proud and happy that this has come together. The significance, as we move forward, the significance is great, because the longitudinal and latitudinal lines of black politics, they're long and wide. We are a politically diverse community. And in 2021, we're even more disparate than in 1972. We span from what's called the new black, the black left, progressives, woke, LBGT, to traditional black organizations and institutions our religious institutions, civil rights organizations, moderates, and yes, even conservatives. We're all a part of the same family. That's just the way it is. Traditionally, we've always stumbled over ideological differences, as we did in Gary. But in spite of our ideological differences, in 2021, the elusive goal of coming together is still before us. We hope in Newark in 2022 to be able to speak to that, to forge a black agenda that is sacrosanct, that is above partisanship, that is relevant and the focus of our concerns, no matter what party occupies the White House, State House, assemblies, legislatures, city councils, and city halls across the country. Do you know Gary was a game changer? In 1970, there was a mere 1,469 black elected officials in this country. By 2002, and there have been many more since that, there are 9,430. Gary had a tremendous effect on our black political maturation. And the 50 years since Gary, we're even more sophisticated, more empowered, but less together. We've experienced increasingly significant political power. Yes, Richard Hatcher and Ken Gibson in 70. But look, right after Gary, we got great mayors like Coleman Young and my mayor for life, Marion Barry and Maynard Jackson, Tom Bradley. All of them were elected subsequent to Gary. Again, Gary and this convention is not about political ideology. We're all welcome at the table, but we want to leave Newark committed to seeing black people in America politically respected, protected, never neglected, no matter who's in office, bringing leaders together across the ideological spectrum together in a mature and fiduciary duty to put our people's interests first. This is the critical objective of our convention. I'm almost finished. I'm at the end now. We've seen a lot of black political empowerment since Gary. We've seen election battles in Detroit, Los Angeles, and Atlanta, Philadelphia, Birmingham, Chicago, and we've had great losses too, like Mayor Dinkins losing to Giuliani in '94. We've seen the creation of historic developments of the black middle class under Maynard and Marion in Washington and Atlanta. We see now the children of these great mayors taking the leadership reins. Many of us grew up chanting in 1984 and '88, "Run, Jesse, run." We cannot forget that Reverend Jackson was there, and his work since that time paved the way for another South Sider, as well as the political organization on the South Side of Chicago, that another South Sider would become the first African-American president of the United States of America, Barack Hussein Obama. That would not have happened without '84 and '88 and black politics in Chicago. Coalition politics would not have produced that. We have to have a base if we're going to move forward. As I close this morning, it's significant that we're here in Newark. You see, my brothers and sisters, if we don't come together, we are doomed to fail. And so I hope that as we gather, as we come together, as we move toward this convention, that people will see the importance of us being able, if just for a weekend, to suspend some of our mistrust, to suspend some of our instincts to just be in silos where people think just like we think. And let's open up the door and broaden our borders and sit down together and see if we can create a condition that when my man wins, black people are going to be taken care of. When your man wins, black people are going to be taken care of, because that's what other folks do. Their agenda is above partisanship, and that's what the black agenda must become. And so we're grateful to the ancestors. We're grateful for all of those that were in Gary in '72. And we're grateful for the continuity of struggle that has taken place in Newark, New Jersey, that have allowed us to come to this point. The last point I want to make is that we've seen so much since 72. I mean, think about it. Shirley Chisholm in 72 was the only black woman in the CBC. And now black women have achieved political success in unprecedented numbers across the country. Kamala Harris, the highest ranking woman ever in the United States of America, judges, congresspersons all across the board. We've seen also the emergence of the hip-hop political force in America that also contributed to Obama's election. And so we've matured. Gary blessed us. It helped us. And we've come a long way, baby, but we still got so far to go. To translate electoral power into people power, to synthesize our agendas so that even though we have a variety of ideologies, from woke to conservative, the black community is always at the forefront of our efforts. I now bring to you another son of the movement. I bring to you Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba of Jackson, Mississippi. Let's bring him forth with a round of applause.
Free the land. Let me try that one more time. Free the land.
Free the land.
Free the land. By any means necessary. Let me begin by expressing my great privilege of being with you, being here in Newark, being a part of this convention. I'd like to once again thank my good friend, Mayor Ras Baraka. Mayor, as I see you continuing on, you're getting smoother and smoother with it, brother. You know, you make it look easy. But, you know, we share so much in common, and so it gives my heart joy to see his leadership here in Newark. And if you don't know, and I thank you, brother, for that scripture that says, prophet is without honor in his own home. If no one has told you, you have a special thing in Mayor Ras Baraka, so give him a round of applause. As I come here, you know, one of the first things that is on my mind is a quote from an indigenous organizer. And that organizer said that if you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, let us work together. When we think of the issues that are plaguing us in Newark, New Jersey, I can assure you that there is an analogous situation in Jackson, Mississippi. I can assure you that our people are suffering all across this country and this globe. And so it is critical that we come together at this time, in this moment, and talk about how we establish unity and come together in a spirit of unity, debate unity, where we can have a convention where we can establish where we see eye to eye, and then debate where there may be differences, from the woke to the conservative. And in that debate, our goal and our mission is to reach greater unity than we arrive with. And so what we see presently, and the need for this convening at this time, is because we still see our people going through cycles of humiliation. Cycles that see high crime, poor performing school systems, failing infrastructure. Cities like Jackson, where to have running water is a luxury. These are cycles of humiliation that our people are facing. And so we have to come together and come to a place where we understand that we are the Calvary that we've been waiting on. And we have to begin to convene and have these discussions about what not only political power looks like, but what socioeconomic power looks like. How do we control the financial structures that benefit us or fail to benefit us. So I'm happy to be in good company. I'm always a little jealous when I come to Newark because I hear all of these African names, this Pan-African spirit.
Yes, yes.
I remember when I got to Jackson, Mississippi as a little boy and I was starting school, and I introduced myself to the class, and I said, my name is Shokwe Antar Lumumba, and a little voice said, that's your name, brother? But it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir.
And as we're awakening, as it's becoming less uncommon to have beautiful African names, we have to continue to feed our spirit and our soul and our community so that we gain greater understanding. You know, when I think of the role that we have as mayor, and I think of our backgrounds, I know that we both have a propensity to talk about the larger things in life, right? Like human rights and self-determination, right? And I always share that when I had my first campaigning experience and I was knocking on doors, invariably I was confronted by a brother or sister who said, you know, yeah, that's good, young brother, but how are you going to fix that pothole in the middle of my street, right? And so what that reminds me of is the words of Amilcar Cabral, who said that people aren't fighting for the ideas in anyone's head. They're fighting to win material benefits, to live better lives, essentially. And if we can only organize people who think like us, then we're not much of organizers, right? And so it is these type of convenings, these conventions that really give us an opportunity to explore the fact that we're not a monolithic people. We have a diversity of thought and experience, and that should not be limiting to us, but it should be able to expand our capacity. I will admit that one thing that I want to make certain that we get out of this convention is not only challenging our political positioning, but to challenge the political structure itself. I think of this much like the analogy of the plantation. You know, many of us, many of you, after the election of Barack Obama, some of you were saying that maybe we've entered into a post-racial society, right? And when we think of the election of Barack Obama, or we think about a place like Mississippi, which has more black elected officials than any other place in the country, then what we ultimately come to an understanding of is that it's just like the plantation where you have an overseer. And in the early days of slavery, that overseer made certain, that overseer who was invariably white in the early days of slavery, his job, his responsibility was to make certain that he put enough pressure on the backs of the slaves that they yielded all of the crop that they wanted to, that the master wanted them to yield. And as the institution of slavery became more evolved and ingrained into society, eventually, sometimes that overseer became black. And if that overseer was black, maybe he didn't beat you quite as bad. Maybe he beat you worse. But no matter whether that overseer was white or black, you were no more free. And so your problem was never simply just with the overseer. Your problem was with the plantation itself. And so that is why, if we're going to take the spirit of Amiri Baraka, if we're going to take the spirit of Shokwe Lumumba, all of these great heroes and sheroes that we have spoken about today, then we have to be prepared to take that conversation to the next level, right? And it can't simply be, in the words of Sister Ruha Benjamin, we can't simply dismantle the world that we don't want to live in. We have to be the most active participants in building the one we do want to live in. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mayor Lumumba, for that outstanding message. The spirit of Chokwe Lumumba is alive in this building. We have Dr. Todd Burrows here, who is coming out. Dr. Burrows, where are you? Dr. Burrows has a biography coming out of Mumia Abu Jamal in February. Give him a hand. Now, before everybody leaves today, I want you to take a copy of this magazine. It's free. This is the Positive Community Magazine. And the reason why I want you to take it particularly is that this is the Newark edition. So this is covering Newark from head to toe. Brother Adrian Council is here. Grab a copy, support Positive Community Magazine. We have a brief video that we want to play right now. It's from our elder, Brother James Mtume. He could not be here. As I said earlier, this is convention will not, audio. It's not just about electoral politics, it's also about movement politics. And one of the figures that has been very inspirational to a new generation, our generation, always available, always giving, sharing what he knows, is Brother James Mtume. And he is our connection in many ways with the folks who were there at 72, as all of you are, and we honor all of our great elders. Let's hear from him now. He could not be with us, but he made a tape. It was a video, but we can only play the audio component. Let's hear him and give him respect right now. Thank you.
Again, for me, it's absolutely overwhelming to think that 50 years ago, Imam Baraka, I remember the day he called me and to tell me he was thinking about doing a national convention based on the success of the convention that was held for Mayor Gibson back in the 70s. And he thought he could do it on a national level. And he did it. But the important thing is vision and sight. Everybody has sight. Few people have vision. Vision comes from being progressive.
All right, thank you, Brother Mtume. Now, for those of you who do not know about the Gary Convention, we have a brief video that we would like for you to watch. Let's hear it now.
The early 70s saw a collective outrage in the black community after years of discrimination and the assassinations of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. And those events prompted black leaders from differing political ideologies to come together to try and reach a consensus.
It led to an historic gathering of black leaders in which they tried to channel that rage into political action. As WGN's Tanya Francisco reports, it took place in our neighboring city to the east, Gary, Indiana.
I remember that it was a lot of people at Westside.
Westside High School in Gary, Indiana was the hub of the black universe in May of 1972.
I remember the signs telling where people were from: Mississippi, Michigan, Indiana.
Some even came from as far away as Hawaii, Florida, and California.
Too many people have their eyes on Gary today.
A young Karen Freeman attended with her parents.
Even as a 12-year-old, I understood what they were talking about.
We must emerge from this convention with an independent national black political agenda, a dynamic program for black liberation that in the process will liberate all America from its current decadence.
The National Black Political Convention was hosted by Gary Mayor Richard Hatcher, one of only 2 black mayors of a major city at the time. He volunteered after no other city was willing to host the 10,000 attendees.
The convention convention will come to order.
The convention was organized by poet and activist Imamu Amiri Baraka and Congressman Charles Diggs Jr., the leader of the newly formed Congressional Black Caucus.
When we got there, it was just high energy.
David Greaves was a 26-year-old videographer and editor working with his father, William Greaves, to produce an 80-minute documentary on the two-day convention called Nation Time.
It could be thought of as a radical way, but as a very straightforward way, talking to Black people about Black interests.
Brothers and sisters, let us express.
The convention attracted Black leaders with vastly different political ideologies, like Coretta Scott King, Malcolm X's widow Betty Shabazz, and Black Panther co-founder Bobby Seale.
And we don't want just no words, we want some action and support.
And celebrities Harry Belafonte, Isaac Hayes, Richard Roundtree, and comedian and civil rights activist Dick Gregory, who was in the midst of a fast protesting the Vietnam War.
That's what this convention is all about, getting our minds together.
But one person missing was Shirley Chisholm, who was making her historic run for president as the first woman and African American. She decided to skip the convention when organizers couldn't decide if they would endorse her candidacy.
This document tells you why the man owes you reparation.
More than 3,300 delegates from just about every state in the country tried to reach a consensus around a Black agenda on issues like affordable housing, improved health care, a guaranteed minimum wage, political representation, and many other pressing concerns.
We demand the eradication of heroin from the ghetto, now eating away at the vitals of Black youth.
Reverend Al Sampson was one of those delegates.
It was a convention full of tension because people needed attention. And the value of the convention was folk came together and folks stayed together. And that meant people had to listen to each other.
Tension ran so high, at one point, part of the Michigan delegation, led by Coleman Young, who would go on to become mayor of Detroit, walked out.
It was really like putting together an orchestra. And the discussion and the tension was the script.
What time is it? When we come together, what time is it?
A young Reverend Jesse Jackson fired up the crowd with chants of Nation Time from Imamu Baraka's poem on Black nationalism.
I am a Black man, I want a Black party. I do not trust white Republicans or white Democrats.
Northeastern Illinois University political science professor Bob Starks.
Black nationalism does not espouse Black supremacy. It just simply says we want to be free, we want to control our community.
In later years, Reverend Jackson moderated his position on Black nationalism and even mounted 2 runs for president in 1984 and 1988. But activists today are taking a cue from the '72 convention.
The Black Lives Matter movement is one of the things that came out of this whole convention. The idea that you continue protesting, because one of the demands on the part of the nationalists is that you never give up. You continue to fight.
Organizers also credit the convention with helping to almost triple the number of Black elected officials in the country.
There was a group of youth that were inspired as a result of that '72 convention. Certainly I was one of them, but there were others.
Freeman Wilson would go on to become mayor of Gary from 2012 to 2019. Today, she's president and CEO of the Chicago Urban League.
I thought a lot of seeds had gotten planted. The genius of the convention was that people went away with a whole lot of information that they didn't have.
Glad that it has resurfaced now.
The film Nation Time, once considered too militant to be released, was recently uncovered in a Philadelphia warehouse, digitized and re-released in the midst of yet another highly charged political environment.
Every time I ask people, have they heard of the Black National Convention, they never heard of it.
Angela Ford recently uncovered several photos taken by an unknown photographer at the convention. She has posted them on her website, the Obsidian Collection, Digital Museum of Black History.
What it does is it allows a new generation to tell our stories. As we organize and deal with the politics of today, it's important they understand what successes their elders had and how they did it.
What time is it?
The convention adjourned without reaching a consensus, but a committee later published a 68-page national Black agenda, which called for, among many things, more Black representation in Congress. Other smaller Black national political conventions were held years later, but none had the crowds or the impact of the 72 convention. Tanya Francisco, WGN News.
Very informative.
Impactful.
Thank you for that, Tanya.
All right. Aren't you excited, Newark? All right. This is coming to Newark, Thursday, April the 28th, 2022 to Sunday, May 1st, 2022. 50-year anniversary commemoration, but also a national Black political convention so that we can come together today and discuss the myriad of issues that face us and move forward together. We're about to close with our mayor, but I want to say that immediately after the mayor closes us out, I want to thank the media for coming. If you have questions at that point, you will be able to ask those questions. I do want to thank Ricardo and Newark Happening for the great work that they're doing. Thank the city of Jackson. Yes, give them a hand. They've been doing a fantastic job. The mayor's staff, excellent. They've been doing a wonderful job, and we are grateful for them. And then, of course, we thank the people here at NJIT. As we started with the mayor of this city, let us end with our mayor. Let's call him forth now, Mayor Ras J. Baraka.
There's not much left to be said after, what was already discussed and watching the film, the short of, and if you didn't get a chance to see Nation Time Garvey, you should probably get an opportunity to look at the entire documentary. It is incredibly informative and inspiring at the same time. And our young people in the schools should have an opportunity to look at that as well, of all nationalities, by the way, and because that is incredibly important to American history, period. And I think that we should use this as a moment not to just reflect on what happened and how we should move forward, but also as an opportunity to teach those who are coming behind us and in the present sense what actually happened and what took place, so they can understand that they come from a history of folks who struggled all of the time and that they never were stale or stood still or took things that happened to them. Even with the latest stuff that was going on around George Floyd, I would come across young people and they say, well, we tried it this way, but we didn't try it that way. And I would say, well, no, you're wrong. We've tried it almost every way. And you don't understand that. It's actually our fault that you don't understand that because you don't have the information and the history before you. You're not the first person that was angry, right? Many of us were angry, and we realized that our anger alone was never enough, and that we had to be organized. And without organization, there's nothing really we can accomplish. So I just wanted to end there and allow the press the opportunity to ask questions that they have. And obviously we're gonna need help here, making sure that this convention is a success, making sure that people know about it all over the continent of North America and throughout the world, that they are welcome to be a part of this growing debate that's going to happen here. And I think that it is going to be inspirational for generations to come. And I'm just proud to be a part of it, to do my part.
Just state your name and news organization.
Yes. But even out of that, they created a National Black Political Assembly that was created out of that. And there's a document, a book that was actually produced by this organization that outlined all of the things that folks struggled for. But I would say that, you know, in my personal opinion, I do believe we need some kind of independent thrust. In terms of what's going to happen in the convention, I think that's the purpose of us calling the convention together, for us to begin to debate these issues and come out of the convention with something solid around what we think is right and good for our people collectively going forward. So that's the purpose of us coming together in the first place, to figure out if that's a pathway forward. Yes, sir.
Are there any other partnerships in mind aside from those listed, whether black businesses, black banks, et cetera?
Yeah, I would say that NJIT stepped up to the plate. You know, we tried to reach out to other places, obviously, and NJIT and Angela and Dr. Bloom stepped up to the plate and basically said, we wanted it here. You can't go nowhere else, you know. So we appreciate that, and I know we are looking to bring other folks in, you know, to be a part of what's going on, whether it's businesses, other venues, to be a part of it. And we're looking internationally to try to bring some of our leaders that are in other countries to come here and be a part of this convention as well. I think that's the intention to, and I wish Rakia was here, see? That's the intention to have that. I know we're going to have workshops around violence prevention and all the other kind of things that are happening in our community. The Office of Violence Prevention is involved in that, so we're going to have workshops around, you know, issues in terms of gun violence and things that are affecting us in the community. Obviously, things around health. There's going to be cultural components to it. So we do have the connection and desire to bring some of our folks that are artists, actors, other pieces of it to be a part of it, as you saw on the screen. So some of the modern day kind of folks to be a part of it as well. Yes, ma'am. How you doing? Right.
And also how you're thinking about making sure that we're inspiring more black women to run for office.
No, I think that's a great question. Obviously, some of the people who are organizing this, I mean, you see a lot of people up here who are like faking like they're organizing it, but the people who are organizing it are black women for the most part, as what happened in Gary. You know, I think the difference between now and Gary is that, you know, the struggle, that kind of struggle that took place in the movement has happened, and black women understand that their role is not to just be behind the scenes, but also be in the front and forward as well. So they're, whether we're talking about the mayor's sister or other folks that are involved in making this happen, they will be here, they will be up front, and they will be speaking and a part of what's going on. And I think just having folks present inspires other people, young African-American women, to actually do the things that they are doing, to have them up front, not just as behind-the-scenes folks, but as, you know, elected officials, as people that are organizing, as people that are speaking, as people that are leading. And so they'll be a part of the convention in all aspects, that's for sure. Yes, sir.
All right, there we go. I would just add that I think that it would be a failure of the convention if we weren't intentional about looking at the role of our sisters and also addressing issues of sexism, right? I think that I think, just about my father. My father admitted that, it was my mother who brought him to a place where he better understood some of the honestly, the sexist things that take place in movement, right? And we have to be intentional around that, right? We can't talk about community without talking about the central processing unit of community, which is family. And our sisters, you know, not that that's the exclusive role, but they have been holding that down for far too long. And so that has to be a very specific thing to come out of this convention.
Absolutely. And the women that we have involved are not those behind the scenes women. So
Absolutely
these are not, they will not accept roles that way. So that's not going to, you know, that ain't even going to be an issue. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kenya Gibson. I'm with iHeartRadio. I just kind of want to talk a little bit about intention. What are some of the expectations or some of the goals of the convention that you would like to walk away with?
I mean, I think because even what Reverend Conrad said, you know, because all of us, I mean, many of us come from different perspectives. We might have personal objectives in terms of what we want to see, but collectively, I think we want to be able to at least come out in a bare minimum with an agenda, right? With some basic things that we say we need today. Like, depending on who runs for what, or who's a part of what, or who's involved in what, these are the things that we agree upon collectively. There's about 10 things, 4 of these things that we can't agree on, but 6 of them we can agree on. And these 6 things we agree on are the things no matter where we are in the country, these 6 things are going to be on the table, no matter where you are, whether you are an alderman, a councilman, a mayor, a governor, an appointed person, you remember those 6 things. I don't know about the other 4, we're still struggling with the other 4, but these 6 we fighting for, right? No matter where we are, we always got to talk about those 6 things. And I think part of it is also to build institutions, to further build institutions that come out of this convention, that people begin to, you know, take generations ahead of us that exist long past us convening, right? So people forming organizations outside of that, building, you know, more journalists, more writers, more elected officials, more folks thinking along the line that we need to empower our folks. So hopefully it inspires people and it builds these institutions. But fundamentally, we got to come together around issues that we agree upon, you know. You calling them? You call them?
Just say your name and what organization.
These are the last 3. It was 3.
Okay.
Last 3.
They have 4.
Yes.
So with that,
thank you.
How are you going to grow a voice for my generation to come in dialogue with yours, to step away from judgment of each other, to move forward together? Because I think there are core things, like there's one God that we all recognize, but we have different ways of practicing traditions. The gentleman here mentioned economic growth. We know we need that. We know we need education, but also a better sense of our identity as a people between genders with one another. So all those things are going to be there and necessary. So how are you going to structure the conversation so everybody has a chance to say what they need and we can move forward together?
Well, even in that, in the Garvey Convention, what was not shown was caucuses, right? So you did not get the chance to see people caucusing. And caucuses split up to kind of debate those issues and converse with each other around issues, whether it's issues around health or housing or economics, to be able to put in small groups to give people a voice. We may have to have a youth caucus to have a discussion about issues of young folks. We definitely going to have a women's caucus to talk about the issues that was raised specifically about the women's role, their identity, the sexism, all the other kind of things that exist. So these kind of caucuses help give voice to groups at the convention, and is brought back to the larger circle so we can begin to discuss it and put an agenda together around what people caucused about.
Mr. Mayor, let me just add, for those of you who are here at the ground level, even though I had almost years conversation. Okay, just so you know, even though there have been almost 2 years of conversation and organizing, you're at the ground level. All of these issues are important issues. We've addressed them. And we are now seeking to expand the team so that those of you that want to be involved in the organizing can do that. I want to point your attention to the website. We have a web, is the website up there? Okay. If somebody could text me the web address, there's an opportunity to go to the website and send your information to us as organizers. There are different levels of organizing committees going on. And lastly, one of the things that we hope to do at the convention is have a hybrid formation. It will be part conference, but there will also be an opportunity to ratify the agenda that we come up with. So there will be opportunities for all of these things to be debated and discussed.
Voted on.
And voted on.
Yeah, voted on. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My staff, my wife. Yeah. Put that out there. Go home. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The last one. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. How you do? Can somebody get to the mic?
Hey everyone, my name is Martina Harris. I'm senator here at NJIT representing communication and media majors. My question for you, Mayor, is are there any initiatives in place to encourage students and the youth to participate in this convention? And what are those initiatives and how are you going about ensuring that the next leaders are going to be involved in this?
You know, the interesting thing is that actually, simultaneously while we were organizing this, students at the university and at Seton Hall are putting together a mock kind of convention, and we're going to work closely with them as well to bring those students into what we're doing here. But there's going to be kind of very deliberate and intentional outreach to young folks in our community specifically to be a part of this. That's why the superintendent is here, was here in Newark Public Schools. We intend on obviously bringing our young people in to this discussion. So we're not having a discussion without high school age kids, college age kids involved in it as well. Very specifically trying to get them involved in it.
Just let me give you the website address. Please go to the website. It's www.nbpc2022.com. That's www.nbpc2022.com. That is our website, and there, that's where you can fill in your information and get involved.
And yeah, yes, there you go. Pull down the mask. There you go.
Get a mic. The gentleman a mic.
Yeah, and what's
Need a
Brother
microphone?
T.J. Whitaker brought it to us. That's right. Yes, sir.
So we're doing a model Gary convention with New Jersey Newark Public High School students. T.J. Whitaker is organizing that with us. So we'll be doing that simultaneously at the time the convention is held.
And we intend on making it, you know, coalesce with that. So, I mean, I think that's just fate brought it all together at the same time, and you know, God is involved in this. So, I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. And before we walk out of here, I just want to say that we need everybody's help to make this happen. And I know in this time, in this generation, we don't, in this present sense, we don't really have the inspiration to work together as we did before. Before, we was almost forced to work together. And I see Linda Harrison over there from the Newark Museum. How you doing, sister? And who is the leader of the Newark Museum. How about that? And we don't have the impetus, something pushing us. We should, but we have not identified it to force us to work together. We are quick to work separate and apart from one another. We need everybody in here to be a part of making this thing successful. And don't think the things that you do are too small. Nothing is too small. We need everybody involved in making this, just as powerful as the convention was, even if more so in 1972 and 2022. If it was needed in 1972, it is needed twofold in 2022. Right now in this country, we are at a serious crossroads of where we can go. We either can go backwards or forwards, as Brother Zaid said. But I like Kwame Nkrumah, forward ever,
Backwards never. All right.
So we want to go forward. We don't want to go backwards. And we need to do what we can, even if it means put our ego aside for a second and put the book we read down for a minute. Because I know when I was at a certain age, I thought I knew more than everybody. I was smarter than everybody. I read a little bit more than everybody. And the older I get, I realized that I knew nothing. And the more that I learned, the more I knew that I knew nothing. Right? That it was so much more to learn. And so in that spirit, we need everybody to come together and be a part of making this thing as powerful as it can be, because our enemies have grown just as we have grown.
Yeah,
so
that's right. That's right.
That being said, thank you for being out here. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Brother Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Chokwe Lumumba. Thank you for being here. We look forward to this next 6 months, putting this together. We need your help. As we close today, we got to go out in the spirit. We got to go out with power. So I'm going to call board member Bashir Akinele forth, and he's going to close us out with Harambe. Don't leave. We got to go out with power. We got to go out with power. I want to thank our chair, Brother Ed Riley. Let's give Ed a hand. Ed is quiet, but he has done a remarkable job. Brother Bashir, close us out.
All right. Hotep, brothers and sisters. Hotep. Say Hotep one time if you can hear me. Say Hotep one time if you can hear me. All right, Hotep. If those of you who are looking at me like I'm a little crazy when I say Hotep, we're going to hold our positions. Let's hold our positions. Hotep is an ancient Kemetic African word for peace, the oldest known written word for peace in human history, brothers and sisters. And I have to say that because our brother, Professor Dr. Leonard Jeffries is in the house, and he would definitely correct me if I was wrong. We got our brother, Dr. Akil Kalfani, another brother, strong brother of African history and studies, would correct me if I'm wrong. So I have to say that, brothers and sisters. Hotep. 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 All right, we're going to say another word. We're going to put our fist in the air, and we're going to call another word called Harambe. Harambe is Kiswahili for people pulling together. We cannot do this conference without us coming together in unity to make this convention happen, to create a black agenda that will move the African world, the African community in America and in the world forward, brothers and sisters. So we're gonna pull down with 7, right? We're gonna say Harambe. I'm gonna count off 1, 2, 3. We're gonna say Harambe, right? We're going to pull it down 7 times. Whoever holds the 7th one the longest is the most revolutionary. Y'all ready? All right. Here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3. Harambe, 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 Harambe. All right, give yourselves a strong round of applause. Everyone in the building is revolutionary. My name is Brother Bashir Muhammad Patel Akinyele, History, Africana Studies at Weequahic High School. Big shout out to Weequahic IP. I'm also member ASCAT Study Group, Newark, New Jersey. All right, and board member of Unity Without Uniformity. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Hotep.